Luka has cost the Mavs 2 games essentially because of the defensive woes early in this season. Obviously, 2 games doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things, but it's stuff to at least keep an eye on. And, we got to talk about something. The Dallas Mavericks lost on Thursday night against the Utah Jazz by a score of 115 to 113, as it was the Mavericks' fourth consecutive clutch loss. The Mavericks were without Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington. Clarkson was dribbling the ball at the top of the arc, trying to waste some time. And then, obviously, as most people do, attempting a shot with the shot clock very, very low. But instead, he zipped the ball past to John Collins for a wide open game winning dunk. So that was Luka's man. He was caught looking at assistant coach Sean Sweeney instead of being engaged defensively. And this was not the first instance of Luka getting caught looking and not really playing defense in this game alone. Earlier in the fourth quarter, you had Colin Sexton kind of just blowing by him and Luka just like standing there. And the fans, I can hear you already. Mavs fans, I can hear you. It was a switch. You're supposed to switch. What are you switching? There was no screen. He ran by the dude. He didn't even try it. It was a simple pull-up mid-range jumper for Colin Sexton, and he didn't even try. So this isn't the first time in this game that he was called out for his defensive woes. And we know that Luka is not known for his defensive prowess. At the beginning of the season, I mentioned how Luka looked like at the end of last season in terms of the playoffs against the Clippers and against the Wolves. He looked like he was starting to become an above average defender, showing flashes, just flashes throughout the most of the season. Not so good, very below average, very low effort. And it seems like we're back at square one with Luka after giving the Mavs fans a lot of hope that he maybe turned a new leaf and he was going to be above average. Now, at this point, he's back to square one, and we're seeing same old Luka doing the same old things. And again, this is one game. The other game was leaving Derek Lively on an island with Steph and Steph cooking him up. And that's all because you made the switch and you didn't play defensively on Steph. And, he cooked Derek Lively the same way you cooked Rudy Gobert and you screamed and yelled about in the playoffs. So again, back to square one right now. Looking at Luka and looking at the defensive woes for him, is this going to be a routine thing that we're going to be discussing of how concerned we are about the Mavs and how much Luka's costing them? Because it's not just defensively. I want to bring up some 3-point stuff later on too. I want to kind of set that to the side. But how do you feel about this entire situation, especially from this last game?
Can you see this?
It's a little small here. Let me pull it up. I got you. Luka on offense versus Luka on Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You're he was terrible in the finals, the NBA finals. He
Yep.
he was absolutely terrible. And I think a lot of people were willing to let that go because it was the Celtics and their offense. And it's
Mhm.
like, how do you stop them anyway? But Luka's not just bad on defense right now. He's just not engaged on defense right now. It's one thing to be a bad defender. You know who's a bad defender is Kevin Herter. Kevin Herter is not a good defender, but he busts his ass night in and night out to try to rebound, to try to scrap, to do whatever he can, and ultimately it just comes down to he's not a good defender.
Yeah.
Luka
Right.
is just he just it looks like he's not even like
Present.
involved on the defensive game plan. Like,
Yep.
just when was the last time you've seen a game end on such a boneheaded defensive play? Like, if you're going to play 60 minutes of basketball and you only have to be locked in defensively for 15 seconds, wouldn't you want those 15 seconds to be the end of the game? Like, wide
Absolutely.
open, the easiest scoring play of the game by any side. And
Yep.
it was a terrible look, and I know the Mavs fans are gonna come into the comments and they're gonna try to defend him, but you guys are not winning a championship with this man playing like this. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get anywhere close to anything if he can constantly be cooked night in and night out, when he could be constantly hunted night in and night out, and it's I mean, he's already tough to watch from an NBA product, from an NBA fan on offense. And now, like, the only redeeming quality to watch him now is to watch how terrible he is on defense. Like, it's a terrible look for him, for one of the young superstars in the NBA. And somebody's got to sit him down. I know he's supposed to be the franchise, and Kyrie's not really much of a leader. but somebody's gotta sit them down and say, "Man, this is unacceptable." Like, we cannot how can you ask your teammates to bust their ass night in and night out and give so much effort on the defensive end, and then you're over there looking like you're taking a timeout?
Yeah, and these games matter. I mean, especially when the Dallas Mavericks are 1-6 in clutch games this season. When really close games, they're 1-6. So the non-defensive plays from Luka, or what I want to bring up next is this terrible 3-point shooting is just bad, and it's 4 straight losses inside of those close games. It's a total of 8 points that they've lost by in 4 games for those clutch games. So the defensive stuff matters when it's close games like this. You need to play defensively. And then on the opposite end, we talk about he's this offensive juggernaut and he plays this. It's funny you bring up the Celtics and him playing terribly defensively against the Celtics. He also played pretty terrible against the Celtics in terms of 3-point shooting. And right now, the team's 3-point shooting just is not very good. Dallas ranks the bottom 10 when it comes to long range shots. They're currently shooting 34.6% from the 3-point line, a dip from the last postseason when they're a little bit above 36%. Doesn't seem like that's that big of a deal, but the percentage does definitely matter. Against the Jazz specifically, Dallas shot 30.8% from the 3-point range. Here, he made 43% of his 3-point shots. He has shot below 30% from long range over his last 3 games. So again, not only eh, I can hear again from the fans, I can hear you guys already. You can, if you want to just like look up our Mavs videos, it's totally cool. Go in and comment on it again because I think that was funny because it's some of our most popular videos. I can hear you. I can hear you in my head already. Well, he plays so well offensively. Can't give 100,000% effort on both ends of the court. First of all, he can. Second of all, he's not playing well offensively from beyond the arc. And that's where he wants to play. That's where he wants to chuck up the ball. And that's fine. I watch guys chuck up the ball all the time. I watch Jason Tatum throw up 11 fucking threes a game. I get it. I totally understand. But Luka's not shooting well right now. That's the bottom line. And he's not there defensively. Just like Drew said, he's just not present. So is this something we got to really be concerned about for the Mavs, or is this going to be a bounce back thing for him?
That can't be a real quote. It just can't be a real quote. Okay,
Oh,
good.
oh
That's not a
no.
real quote. It's not a real Yeah, I just at this point, it's I mean, it's wearing on the teammates too. I just watched a little clip there of like his teammates giving them like what are you doing, dog? Like
Yeah.
you gotta be engaged here. And I'm telling you, nobody wants to but first of all, there's very few players in the NBA that want to bust their ass on defense to begin with, but nobody
Yeah.
wants to bust their ass on defense just to have one member of the team. Like you can't play 5-on-4
Hmm.
every single time down. And it's not just being a bad defender. If he was just a bad defender, everyone would be okay. But bro, you're being a lazy ass traffic cone. They
Yep.
might as well put him in an orange jersey and just go stick him in the corner because now like teams are just going to hunt him. They're going to hunt him. They're going to hunt him. They're going to hunt him. And
Yep.
if you're not putting in any effort, I just I don't know. I guess that I mean, the Mavs aren't really even doing anything this season anyway, and we know that the only reason why they made it to the finals last year is they just got hot at the right time, but
Correct.
it's just a terrible look for them, and I don't know how you can possibly, how does he stand up in front of the team to get them, like, how do you be a leader on that team when you're playing like this? I don't think it's possible.
I think the first thing you got to do is you have to take some sort of personal accountability if you're Luca. If you can't do that at this point, having a conversation with the team is totally pointless because you can't say words that you don't mean because the team's going to pick it up very quickly. And if you lose a locker room as someone you're supposed to be a leader, you're going to lose the team and you're going to lose the season because no one's going to give a shit and they're going to stop playing so hard. So I think that's what it starts with. It starts and ends with Luca taking responsibility, having a conversation with the team, and turning this whole thing around. It's with him again. I know you guys were missing you're missing Kyrie, you're missing PJ, you're missing a couple key guys, but it's Utah. We gotta take a step back and not just say it's just Utah as well, but it's been this season.
And and we could have easily came on and spent this Mavs segment, which we have not even mentioned 1 second of the Klay Thompson back to Golden State game
Right.
because of how bad Luka was defensively against it. This is the Jazz, okay? This
Mhm.
is not the number 1 offense in the NBA. It's not the number 5 offense in the NBA. This is the Jazz, and
Yep.
you just it's just it's not acceptable. Like,
Yep. You got
and
Colin Sexton cooking you.
If you're a Mavs fan, you're gonna hop in the comments here, you're gonna defend him, man, then that's fine. You could do that, but you guys are on a 4-game losing streak. You got injuries all over the place. Why is PJ Washington gonna bust his ass to get back early when, it wouldn't be the first time that Kyrie quit on a team when he's out there looking at what's going on the defensive end of the court.
Yeah.
So just this one's red flagged for sure.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and have to keep an eye on it.